Welcome to episode 40 of the Easy SEO and More podcast. Now, today is a special video podcast, so if you're listening to this and you want to find out what I'm talking about on some of the stuff, because some of it has some visual aspects to it, go to portbell.com/40 and you can watch it at any time. It's also available on YouTube if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. If not, look for Easy SEO and More or Dr. Ty or Port Bell. I think it'll pop up with any of those. Today, I've got a special podcast for you. I want to talk about alternatives. And when you do website design, there's lots of alternatives these days. You can do it for desktop. You could do it specifically for mobile phones. You could do it only for iPads, or you could do it for all three. You could set up a website that is nothing but text, nothing but video, all audio for podcasters, or just images, however you want. However, those aren't the alternatives that I'm going to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about specifically the alt tag. Now, the alt tag is the alternative text that you use on an image. And you might think, well, what's the use of doing that? And most people don't use an alt tag. But when you do a search, like if you haven't yet, let me pop this up here. Go to taisfreebook.com and download the workbook. Is your website SEO friendly? One of the places that you're going to go with this is to find out how many errors or warnings are on your website. Now, every time that the alt tag is empty, that is an error. Search engines look for that alt tag, so it can be important. Now, on the flip side of that, there are also quote SEO experts that will fill those alt tags with a bunch of spammy SEO stuff. That's not any good today either. So don't do that. Today I'm going to tell you about the right way to fill out alt tags. And let's get out of this one and go into here. This is my favorite Pioneer Farm Museum, which is Pioneer Farm Museum in Eatonville, Washington. It's my favorite because it's the closest to me. So if you're in WordPress, I'm going to show you how to actually change your alt tags, and at the same time, I'm going to tell you why it's important. Alt tags tell people what an image is about if it's an image. And so, for instance, let's say a blind person is on the web. And yes, blind people use the web. That's the whole point for alt tags in the first place, was for blind people or people that don't have images turned on. Back when the internet was slower, you had the option to turn images off when you wanted to. And so when the image popped up, it would just be this little square box of nothing in it. You'd have no idea, and the alt tag would say what it is. Unless some spammy marketer got a hold of it and filled that alt tag with a bunch of spammy marketing stuff, which I actually used to do that myself. So I can't say too much about it. I don't do that anymore. The search engines are a little bit more savvy about it, and you don't want to do that now. It used to be, it helped a lot. But if you take a look at this page here, this is the basic WordPress login area. And so if you go to the media, and under your media library, your media library is where all of your images, your video, and your audios are. And so you go into the media library and you have a list of everything that's there. I'm going to pick on the sign for Pioneer Farm Museum. And this is a good example. We've been helping Pioneer Farm Museum, but we're only able to do a little bit at a time, unfortunately, right now. And you'll see right here where it says alternative text, and there's nothing there. There should be something there to talk about what the alternative text is. Notice how the title says Farm Animals 19. That doesn't really show up. You don't have to worry about the title or the caption or even the description. Although the description might not be bad. The description is for people that are blind as well. You get more of a description on it. But the alternative text is very important. And search engines look for that alternative text for not just for blind people, it is also a searchable area on your website. So you can use it for SEO purposes. But again, you don't want to be spammy with it. So if let's say you have a different way of doing your alt text and it's not in WordPress, it's in maybe Wix or something else, there's still a way of finding that alt text in an image. Usually when you click on the image, and then you'll have the descriptions and stuff on the side or below it or something like that. You want to fill that out. If you don't fill that out, it's an error according to the W3C, which Google and Bing and Yahoo then count as an error as well. It's not an error that stops them from doing anything, but every error is a bad thing. So you want to put in the alt text. In this case, we're looking at a sign for Pioneer Farm Museum. And I would probably put Pioneer Farm Museum sign or something like that. I might even put Pioneer Farm Museum in Eatonville sign or sign of, you get the idea. So I can use some SEO keywords, Pioneer Farm Museum, Eatonville, Washington, things like that. And I can use those in the alt text without it being spammy. You don't just want to, fill it full of spammy stuff. Like, let's say you're an architect. You don't want to say, let's say you're an architect in Portland. I haven't picked on Portland in a long time. So you don't want to say Portland architect, Portland architectural, Portland firm architecting, whatever it might be. You don't want to fill it with all that. Actually talk about what the image is. You can use some SEO or some marketing keywords for it. Limit them. But it is a searchable area, so the search engines do look at this. It's nowhere near as important as the text on the actual page, but it is definitely important to someone who might be blind, seeing impaired, or for people that maybe even still have images turned off so they don't see them when they pull up the web page. So always make sure that you have the alternative text for every image on your website filled out. At least something, one small sentence, even if it's only a few words is fine. It doesn't take much to make it to where it's not empty. And don't put the word empty on there. You'll see that a lot too, where the alt text says empty. Don't do that. Figure out some good alternative text. Again, like I said, it's searchable, so it does have some weight to it. Not as much as the text on your website, but a little bit. Hey, thank you for watching and listening to this episode of Easy SEO and More. Remember, go to portbell.com/40 if you want to watch it or listen to it. And please rate this on whatever podcast player you're on, or if you're on Yahoo, hey, give me a like. I'd appreciate it. I'll talk to you next time.